Okay, so next up, I will be speaking with you. Hi, once again, I am James. So I am the head of education with Dexafit Asia. I operate within Dexafit Asia from an evidence-based perspective. To put it simply, within Dexafit Asia, I am the geek. Yeah. So some of my key responsibilities is to foster relationship with partners within Asia, to basically to look into the sciences within Dexafit Asia itself to make sure that the operations are running smoothly, things like that. So along with my role as head of education in Dexafit Asia, I also work as a sports nutritionist. And this is really important as a double role per se, because by working in Dexafit Asia, I get to see the data, but by working as a sports nutritionist and looking at physiological data from Dexafit Asia, when I work with my own clients and athletes, I get to see the practical area. I get to see how data from Dexafit Asia can play such a great and important role to help athletes and everyday people like you and I to really transform our life. Right. So I'm going to share with you guys the Dexafit journey. So once again, if you are going to, if you want to work with us, drop us an email at hello@dexafitasia.com, address it to Jimmy or myself, James, and just tell us who you are, what you're looking at as a partnership. We have a lot of things going on. We might be able to collaborate with you guys. Yeah, so just drop us a message. All right, so if you guys are excited for my presentation today, just drop me a let's go, get me excited to share with you. Let me put my 100% in. So before I begin my presentation, I'm going to be sharing with you a video. I'm going to be sharing with you a lot of videos actually. Awesome, Garrett, awesome, Ian. You guys are awesome. Awesome, Jimmy. Yeah, so let's go with this video. All right, awesome. So before I continue, can you guys help me a little bit? Tell me if you can hear the voice, the music inside the video, because it will be important for the rest of my presentation. Anyway, this video was done by my colleague, my colleagues over here at the Dexafit Asia team. So, yeah, really excited to share with you about today's journey in Dexafit Asia. Awesome. Thank you, Roy. Thank you everyone for letting me know. All right, so Jimmy is going to introduce us how Dexafit Asia looks like. Jimmy is our regional general manager here at Dexafit Asia, and he is going to share with us how the location looks like. If you guys are excited, just type go Jimmy. Jimmy is going to share with you how our place looks like.
Let me show you around. This is the DEXA laboratory for our DEXA scan. And over here we have our VO2 max room. And on our right is our resting metabolic room. And our 3D scan. Once you're done with the test, you can take a seat over here while enjoying the view. Let me show you.
So that's how Dexafit Asia looks like. Who loves the view? All right, I can see that Dr. Ryan loves the view. Jimmy said hi to you guys. Yeah, he did a really great job showing us how the place looks like, right? So today I'm really going to share with you about the Dexafit journey. The Dexafit journey over here in Dexafit Asia really comprises of 4 main services, and these 4 main services are seen as physiological tests in the medical world per se. And really what it does is to look into both the inside and the outside of your body to measure how your metabolic health looks like and how your cardio fitness looks like. All right, Jimmy, you're getting a lot of love over here. Okay, so to get us started, I'm going to share with you guys about DEXA, the DEXA scan itself. The long name is really dual energy X-ray absorptiometry. See, it's such a long name that really we don't want to like pronounce it every time we have to say it out, right? Like you can literally hear me not being able to pronounce the last word. So to make it really simple, all of us really just call it DEXA scan. So it's spelled DEXA or DXA scan. So at this current point, hospitals really use this as a bone mineral density scan. A bone mineral density scan essentially looks at how healthy your bones are. But really within the global standards, it's also seen as the gold standard for using the DEXA scan as the gold standard for body composition. So looking at things like your body fat, your visceral fat, things like that, and looking at your lean mass. I'll share with you a little bit more about the results in a bit. So a lot of people who are looking to the DEXA scan, they are slightly more concerned because one thing that's worrying is that it's a medical device. So radiation is involved. So the really cool thing is that radiation is not really very high with the DEXA scan, and it's actually very low in terms of invasiveness. What I mean by that is that you can actually do the DEXA scan without any contact. And I guess within the COVID season right now, it can be a little bit of a concern, right? If you have to do a technique like, for example, the skin fold where I have to pinch you, it's such a contactful technique. But with the DEXA scan, there is no contact. You really just go in, you can lie down. Our radiographer might line you up a little bit, but that's all. And then you just stay on the DEXA scan, just lie down and enjoy yourself for about 7 minutes. Some of our clients, they say that they get the most relaxing sleep inside that 7 minutes just because they had a long day. The last point that's really exciting is that DEXA scan itself has a very low radiance. What this means is that it's highly accurate. When you do 2 scans on a different body composition measurement, you might stand up on it, go down, and then step out on it again. You might see 2 different body fat percentage numbers that can range all the way up to 11%. That's really scary, right? But with the DEXA scan itself, it's very low radiance. What we mean by that is that it's about 3%, and usually standard deviation is 1.5 up or down. So let's say at 20%, you lie down on the DEXA scan, come out, you might see your 20%, lie down again, come out, you might see at most, maybe 19% or so. Yeah. Is that accurate? If that's accurate, just type accurate on the chat. So I'm going to share with you the process of the DEXA scan, but I'm not going to tell you about it myself because I feel like it's going to be really long. So instead of that, I'm going to share with you through video. Let's go. Let us talk about the process of the DEXA scan. Our fitness specialist will guide you through a doctor's consultation to get your referral letter. This is required in order to perform a DEXA scan in Singapore. You will then be guided to the bag to put your items in your personal locker. Our radiographer will then bring you to the DEXA laboratory. Do remember to ensure that you do not have any clothes with metal as it will directly affect your results. The DEXA scan will take approximately 7 minutes to complete, so stay comfortable. When you are done, our fitness specialist will guide you through your results, ensuring that you understand your own data. And that's it! Knowing your body composition is important and you definitely want to make sure that it is accurate. Want to get your DEXA scan done? Drop us a call today and we will book the appointment for you. See you! Let us Awesome. So that's basically it about the DEXA scan process. You talk to a doctor, doctor say, okay, we get the DEXA scan done for you, and then you come out, and then we just run a consultation with you. So within Singapore, if you were to do it with another lab or so, you might take a little bit longer because usually most clinics do not have their own DEXA scan. So then there's a whole referral process that usually takes at minimum maybe about 2 hours. If you need to do a different location, you might take up to 2 weeks. But over here, we get everything done within 30 minutes, including the doctor consultation itself. Really cool, right? All right, so let's talk about the results you can get from the DEXA scan itself. So the first and most awesome thing you get to see is a 3D view of yourself. So the yellow is really your fat, the red is your lean mass. So the lean mass also includes your organs, and of course the blue is your skeleton. Along with that, we can actually see the body fat and the lean mass of your body on its own body part. So what I mean by that is that we can actually look at left-right distribution. We can actually find out if you have a larger arm on the left or the right, and your the legs, and the same for your lean mass. Moving on with that, we actually look into things like your health status. So the first thing that we tend to look at is your android gynoid ratio. So if you were to look with me back at the 3D diagram of your body, you can actually see two rectangles. So the rectangle on top is actually your android area, which is really your hip area. And the bottom is your gynoid area, which is where your waist area is. So when we are measuring that, we're really looking at whether you are more apple-shaped or more pear-shaped per se. But this is a little bit more important, not just because of shape per se, but really because there is a correlation when we put these two numbers into a ratio, and this ratio is typically around number of 1. So what this means is that if, let's say, you have a ratio of maybe 0.6 to 0.8, you might be within the perfect score, the optimum score. Any number that is below 1, you are pretty much in a low risk, and any number that's above 1, you tend to be correlated towards issues like obesity. You might have some metabolic health risk to reconsider. You may have some organ-related risk that you need to take care of yourself, and of course, all-cause mortality, which essentially means your lifespan. And of course, there are other correlations that we do need to worry about. But the one thing that's awesome about the android gynoid ratio is that very often, if let's say you're just 1++ per se, so maybe 1.0 something, and your visceral fat and your body composition is in the good zone, typically the correlation doesn't affect you as badly as compared to, let's say, we were to see like a android gynoid ratio that's high, and then you look at this graph and you realize that the body fat is high and the visceral fat is also high. So then that's when things get a bit more worrying. So can anybody explain the visceral fat to me? While you type that, I'm going to explain to everybody else. So essentially, the visceral fat essentially is in this zone right here that you can see on my screen. You can actually see that within the red color area, there are some yellow areas inside. So what happens is that in a perfect body, your body will actually have a lot of organs within the stomach area. This diagram is probably a bit too high. Your lungs are probably somewhere around where the stomach is. But essentially, when you have a lot of visceral fat, the visceral fat will start to fight with space around the area where the organs are. And those are the areas around the inside of your stomach. So what happens when you have a lot of visceral fat is that it starts to fight with space around your organs. Question, can your organs function properly if you were to have a lot of visceral fat inside your body? So essentially the answer is no. If you know the answer, type yes, type no, but the answer is no. What happens is that if you have a lot of visceral fat inside your body, then what happens is that the area around your stomach will be fighting space between the visceral fat itself and the organs itself. So then the organs will not be able to function optimally. So in the short term, maybe things are fine. You don't really know what's going on. But over time, the body starts to compensate. And let me tell you, your body is really, really good at compensating. It's so good at compensating that sometimes we don't even know that it's compensating. It's really awesome, right? But at the same time, it's really crazy because then you cannot really detect when things are really wrong. So then in the long term, when these organs continue to compensate for our beast doing, maybe we continue to enjoy really highly saturated food, we enjoy our crazy diets and whatnot, then more fat accumulates, and over time these organs start to realize that they start to overwork, and if they overwork, then maybe one or two of them start to show a little bit of a failure. So the worst case scenario is that some of them, they start to show that um, they don't work anymore, and then that typically starts leading towards your mortality issues, because then you have to get other organs to compensate, which then might cause other organs to compensate even more. Yeah, so that's really tiring. So visceral fat then became one of the more concerning issues, both on a health scale and a global scale. So then the next thing that is really important for a lot of our clients is the bone mineral density. So the bone mineral density essentially looks into how porous your bones are. Porous basically means if you were to look into your bones, there are actually a lot of holes. And essentially, when your bone mineral density scores are good, these holes are really very small. It's almost unseeable. And the mass of your bone itself is really very heavy. So then if, let's say, you were to accidentally fall down and things like that, typically your bone structure will be fine. Once your bone mineral density starts going down and it starts showing a red flag, what it means is that you are going to start experiencing what we call osteopenia, which means that the bones start to see a higher pores, higher holes, and thicker holes per se. So then your bones become holy, pun intended. Yeah, and when that happens, then if, let's say, you were to accidentally fall down, you might have that risk of getting a hairline fracture, and that's not really fun. Once these numbers go into the red flag, what it means is that your bone mineral density is now really low and you're entering into this stage called osteoporosis. And what that means is that your bones are starting to become really, really holey at this point, and your bones are really not very strong anymore. So if you were to experience a fracture, you might experience a little bit of a danger. You will find that your bones are very easily broken, and that's really scary, because then it will not be able to handle the rest of your structure within the body. So just for information's sake, if, let's say, you are someone looking to improve your bone health, of course, number one, you come and do a DEXA scan with us. But in terms of improvement, you can look into things like calcium, protein, vitamin D, and vitamin K. These are very important nutrients in order to help make sure that your bone health are great. Awesome. All right, let's go on to the next test. The next test is our 3D scan. So with the DEXA scan, really, we scan the inside of your body, but with the 3D scan, we are scanning the outside of your body. So the really cool thing about the 3D scan, and I really love to call this the Iron Man test. Repeat after me and type it down, Iron Man test. Right. So what happens is that you're going to be standing on this turntable. It turns 360 degrees. I will show you a more visual idea of what's going on. And then basically what happens is that you turn one whole round, you get a reconstruction of your body. And what's really cool about the 3D scan is that it will actually create a 3D mold of yourself, which you, if you have the Dexafit AI app, you can actually use it and put it on our AR mode. Then you can kind of put yourself everywhere. So along with the 3D reconstruction, we actually have body measurement, posture analysis, and pre and post visualization, which I will show you in visuals in a bit. So let's start by talking about the process itself. On this video, you can see our female client over here standing on the platform as I was sharing. So once she does that, she actually puts her hand in a lateral position to start the test. The test is really automatic. So the reason why nobody's helping her is because this test do require you to be in tight clothes or in your undergarments, which is very private. As you can see, the moment the test starts, she starts to turn in one round. This process goes on for about 40 seconds. Usually this is obviously not shown, but this is really just for video purpose, which is why we are sharing it out. When she is done with the whole test, she puts on her clothes again. The test is done. She just puts in her personal information just for storage reasons. And then after that, she just she gets her results immediately. So to show you how her results look like, it will look something like this. This is where you can actually see the 3D mold itself. Yeah. And then if you were to press on two other buttons, you can actually see her posture analysis. And if you do more than one test with us, you can actually see the pre and post. The really cool thing is that once these are done, we will actually share them with you, as our professionals will sit down with you and run through them with you. So along with that, you can also receive a report directly from our 3D scan, We shall then share with you your body measurements directly, as you can see on the image on the left. And of course, along with that, you can actually see an image on the right where we share with you your posture analysis itself. So your posture will then be shown on the front view and on the side view. And this gives us an idea of how your posture looks like. So for this individual over here, you can actually see that he is actually leaning more towards his left. So the image is actually left-right flipped. Yeah. So then this side where he is actually standing on the side that has a bigger arm, he is on his right side. Yeah, but anyway, you can actually see a posture difference, and that's where our professionals will then share with you how you can potentially improve this posture itself. Moving on, we are going to talk about our resting metabolic rate test. So if you're excited, type RMR. Meanwhile, I'm going to share with you how the process of the resting metabolic rate test looks like. Let's go. Let us talk about the process of the resting metabolic rate test. Before coming in for your test, ensure that you have fasted and are well rested for at least 8 hours. You also want to keep your training intensity low for 24 hours before the test. You will be asked to wear a heart rate monitor and a face mask, which are sanitized daily for your safety. When you are ready, our fitness specialist will connect the metabolic card to your mask and start the test. Throughout the duration of the test, you will be requested not to move nor sleep and breathe as normally as possible, as these actions will affect the quality of your test. The test will usually take about 20 minutes. Are you ready to do the resting metabolic rate test? Book an appointment with us here at Dexafit Asia, and I will see you soon. Awesome. Yeah, so once you're done with the test, we will actually show you a result like this. So the first thing that you will actually get from the resting metabolic rate test is your metabolism. Question: is the resting metabolic rate test your total energy, or is it the amount of energy of your body at rest? So if it's the total energy, type total. If you think that it is the energy at rest only, type rest. Awesome. And moving on from here, really, we are looking at how the resting metabolic rate itself can help us. So the term resting metabolic rate, right, really means the body's minimum amount of energy the body needs at rest. So when we look at the full spectrum of what comprises as our body's total energy, we actually know that energy is being used to digest food, whether it's carbohydrate, proteins, or fat, or even your junk food and your char kway teow, your potato chips, which is really so yummy. The energy you use to move, and the energy you use to exercise. So movement exercise really with movement is really looking at things like your household chores, when you're walking to the bus stop, things like that. And these really comprise of a good amount if, let's say, you're a relatively active individual. But if you're, let's say, you're a working individual or sitting on the office chair like myself, then the energy used to move usually is quite low. And then, of course, you have the purposeful exercises that you make, whether it's in terms of cardio, resistance training, HIIT, things like that. So usually when we are talking about the resting metabolic rate test itself, I like to say that the RMR itself is the minimum amount of energy required to allow your body to function well. Some people, especially, let's say you're trying to lose weight, you're trying to try and lose some pounds on a relatively quick manner, and you maybe choose to decide to do intermittent fasting or full fast and stuff yourself as much as possible, you do realize that sometimes you become a lot more tired, maybe a bit more irritated. You might find that you have very low energy. And the reason why is because you're not meeting your minimum energy requirement or your resting metabolic rate. So what happens with that is that the body starts to realize that, okay, I'm not getting enough nutrients and I need to start to slow down on how much energy I'm using on a daily basis. So basically, it's like the body saying, I'm trying to save money, but in this case, I'm trying to save calories. Cool? And along with the energy that you use to digest food, the amount that you use to move, the amount to exercise, that's your total daily energy output. Or for those of us in the science world, it's called the total daily energy expenditure. So between the amount of total daily amount of energy output versus your minimum requirement, there is a difference. And this difference is what I like to call the key window of opportunity. If you're an athlete, this window of opportunity means the amount of opportunity you have to eat more in order for you to perform better at sports. But if let's say you are someone who is just trying to lead a healthy lifestyle, or maybe lose some pounds, maybe get fit and things like that, this key window of opportunity will then become your window of opportunity to see a weight loss. So how wide the gap you can create between your resting metabolic rate versus your total daily energy expenditure will then equals to the window of opportunity you will be able to see in order for you to lose weight. The really cool thing is that over here at Dexafit Asia, we are able to calculate your total daily energy output, or rather estimate it, so that you can get a good start in order for you to get to where you want to be. If you were to use the Dexafit AI app, we also have some guidance around there inside your report itself. The next key thing that we like to see in the resting metabolic rate test itself is this thing called resting quotient. Repeat resting quotient with me and type RQ. So RQ is the short form for resting quotient. Some people like to use it in conjunction with respiratory exchange ratio. But really what this means, right, is that the resting quotient tells you whether your body is trying to burn more carbohydrate or whether your body is trying to burn more fats. So the number at 0.7 means that you are really burning 100% fat, and the number at 1.0 means that you are burning 100% carbohydrates. So this resting quotient that you're seeing right here usually is the chart that you will see with the report that we give to you. Essentially, at this point, the individual's resting quotient is at 0.85. And if you look at EECHO, essentially, which means energy expenditure carbohydrate or energy expenditure fat, you do see that there is a slight equal amount between their numbers at 28 and 33 accordingly. So then with that, you kind of get a snapshot of what kind of fuel your body is using when you're resting. This, of course, is not a nutrition recommendation, but really just an idea of where your body is taking its energy from. And then from there, you kind of know like, okay, whether you are burning more fat or more carbohydrate. Those of you who are in ketosis or trying to be on the keto diet will find this interesting, because when you manipulate your diet by eating more fats, you of course see that your number will go more towards the 0.7 side or burning more fat side. Lastly, I'm going to share with you about our VO2 max test. VO2 max test is the gold standard or the medically recognized test for us to use for cardiorespiratory fitness. To put it simply, I like to say that essentially this is the number that you look at when you're trying to figure out how healthy your heart and lungs are. So let me just quickly, along with that, we also find that the VO2 max number itself gives us an idea of your longevity or your health, because when your number is too low, it usually means that your heart and lungs are not very healthy, or rather it's not very strong. So then it means that you do need to train more in order to get a healthier heart. It is also used within the national game levels as a performance indicator. So just some fun facts. A physiologist who used to work within the SEA Games arena or like with sports school and stuff like that told us that the minimum amount of VO2 max endurance runners do need to have is 50. And we know that people who are in the Olympics, they tend to have a VO2 max minimum of around 60. And the reason why these numbers are very important is because without hitting these VO2 max numbers as the bare minimum indicator or bare minimum requirement, a lot of professionals find that they are not able to compete against those who are already within those numbers. Yeah. And that became a very strong performance indicator within the sporting world. The really cool thing about doing a VO2 max test with us is that you can actually look at your optimum fuel utilization. So later on, I'll show you a chart and tell you a little bit more about what I mean. But essentially, you can look at the intensity between your fat and carbohydrate usage at different heart rate levels. Okay, I'm going to show you a video process of how we do the VO2 max test. Ready? Let's go! Today, we will go through the procedures of the VO2 max test. To begin, we will ask you to wear a heart rate monitor under your shirt in front of your chest. Your fitness specialist will then assist you to wear the mask, ensuring that it is tightly fitted yet comfortable enough to run with. You will then be requested to press the white area of your mask while breathing out, ensuring that there is no air leakage around your mask. This is to ensure that all your exhaled air will flow through the spirometer plugged into your mask later on. A harness will also be provided for you. This is optional, although highly encouraged for safety purposes. When all the steps are done and you are good to go, we will slot the spirometer into your mask, getting you ready for your run. Your fitness specialist will also ask you a few questions to ensure that they select the right protocol for your VO2 max test. He will then explain the protocol, and when you are ready, execute the test. In the next video, we will discuss how a VO2 max test result looks like. Follow us to learn more. Awesome. Yeah, so once you're done with the VO2 max test, the first number that we share with you is the VO2 itself. By the way, guys, if you have any questions, you can feel free to type them on the question box right now, as I'm going to end my presentation very, very soon. So as I was saying, if let's say your number is really, really low, within the 20s, within the late 20s per se, then typically we know that that's an indicator to say that your VO2 max itself might be on the lower end, and that might be a bit of a problem because we are looking at things like all-cause mortality, we're looking at things like your heart health itself and your lung health itself. Yeah. But you can also see that as the number increases, it also shows that your heart is getting stronger, your lungs are getting stronger. It also means that you have a higher chance of creating a higher all-cause mortality or higher longevity itself. So within the Dexafit AI app, you will find this number called longevity. Essentially, it is a predicted age score of how long you are likely to live per se. And the really cool thing, right, is that the VO2 max itself plays a really big role in terms of your longevity health itself. So as your VO2 max number goes higher, you do find that your longevity also increases. So this is definitely one test you do want to consider if you are looking at trying to live as long as possible. So remember I was talking to you about fuel optimization. This is a data from one of our clients. He is a really good runner. What you can see on the left side that says fat, on the right side it says carbohydrate, you can actually see the kind of fat utilization and carbohydrate utilization that he has. So this is important because number one, you can actually figure out at what heart rate your body is able to use the most amount of fat. And for those of us who is trying to lose fat, this might be a great heart rate level for you to run at on a relatively frequent basis, because what that means is that you'll be able to use more fat to metabolize for your run even more. Then because you're using more fat, right, you are likely to burn more fat and maintain the rest of your body in its good structure. For those of us who might be a little bit more competitive, if you look with me into the 12-minute mark, you can actually see this cross junction between the fat and the carbohydrate. That's what I like to call the critical power point. And essentially what happens over here is that most individuals find that they actually run or train at the most relaxed level around this heart rate level. And then later on at the 15-minute mark, you realize that the fat levels have already dropped all the way down and the carbohydrates all the way up. This is because the intensity for the test has gone really, really high. And the individual is really requiring to use a lot more aerobic power, a lot more power in order to run. This happens the same for all of us in the sense where the higher or the more intensive the exercise is, the more likely you are to rely on carbohydrate. So then this gives us a good idea of what type of heart rate your body will be at when you are really depending on your carbohydrate stores 100%. I know that that's quite a bit of a mouthful to listen and quite a bit of dry information. So the really cool thing is that all these are already inside the report of your Dexafit AI app. As long as you're doing a VO2 max test with us, you'll be able to see all this report and you'll be able to know what kind of calories you are burning at different types of heart rate and different types of intensity. You'll even get to know your VT1 and VT2 if you're into things like your lactate test and your lactate threshold. Cool, right? I know. Okay, so the big question or elephant in the room is, how does the Dexafit journey itself relate towards you? Like at the end of the day, you're listening about this either for you, your clients, your business people. So how does this really play a role in your life? First, of course, you do a DEXA scan with us. You do the whole Dexafit suite with us, right? With the DEXA scan and the 3D scan, you'll be able to see the inside and the outside of your body. You'll also be able to look at the posture analysis of your body. And these are all very important stages, right? Because this will give you an idea of your baseline. Then when you're doing the VO2, the 3D scan itself, you get to understand your metabolism in terms of your resting metabolic rate. This then translates over to your total daily energy output. With the VO2 max test, you then get to understand your VO2 test, your VO2 number and know how healthy you are at this point of time. And along with that, with the heart rate zones being placed out for you along the calorie numbers, you can then calculate how much calories you actually need to burn in order to reach a certain threshold or certain body composition that you're looking for. And then with all this information, you can then create a whole program for yourself, or you can ask our fitness specialist to help you with that, and we'll be able to direct you to create a program for yourself. These are a lot of information, to be fair, and to be honest, once you are out of the Dexafit Center, some of you might actually forget this information. But what we have done over here at Dexafit and Dexafit Asia is that we have kept all this information inside the Dexafit AI app. Simply register it with the email you gave us once you are done with your test, and you'll be able to see all these results inside. And then what happens is that you'll be able to record and track these numbers with you throughout the times when you come in. So then Dexafit not only becomes your baseline and make sure that you are healthy, but it also becomes a journey that you follow along, that comes along with your journey. Because what happens is that every few months later, once you have checked yourself, you want to do a pre and post monitoring, and you might want to do this on a relatively long lifetime. So then Dexafit will be able to fit into your lifestyle by making sure that your numbers are good in terms of your body composition, your numbers are good in terms of your VO2 max, and whenever you need to make a change, your resting metabolic rate test is there to make sure that you are well energized. Yeah, so that's the end of my presentation. Thank you so much. Do you guys have any questions? By the way, once again, if you want to work with us, drop us an email at hello@dexafitasia.com. And then address it to me or Jimmy. We'll be able to reply you on whatever partnerships you might have in store for us. Once again, we do have a lot of partnerships going on, things like the trainer support scheme. We do have exclusive discounts for corporates and stuff like that. So just drop us an email and we'll be able to look into partnerships with you. Ravinder asks, I live in KL, Malaysia. Where's the nearest location to do a test and how much will it cost? Ravinder, at this point, the Dexafit Center, the closest one is at Singapore, which is our branch in Novena. I do believe that we are opening one in Malaysia very, very soon. So if you're interested, drop me an email over at hello@Dexafit Asia. Once Malaysia is open, we can drop you an email about it and let you know. Does anybody else have any other questions?